I have it on. Hey-o!
Yay, old school. I love the
Live
old school.
Friday.
from parking level P6 space E679 at the Newport Center Mall parking garage in Jersey City, New Jersey. It's a Business Pants Friday.
I love when
Thank
you
God.
do the old school. Yeah,
Hey-o!
there it is. It actually tickles my soul
Uh,
in a
joined,
non-awkward way.
as always, by Ari, the Data Queen, Emma Lurking, Matt Mascardi. We are Free Float Media. We really are. These are
Yeah.
I've
we
been
are
told.
the four paid employees of this enterprise. You're looking at them.
Wait, you're paid?
If you're live streaming on Matt's illustrious LinkedIn account, I don't know why you would be. I mean, is there anything more boring than LinkedIn, Matt?
Facebook.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh,
Agreed.
zing! And it's not
I don't
Facebook anymore.
actually,
It's
Ari.
Meta.
I don't believe that. I was watching Rachel Maddow last night. She's talking about on Facebook they're selling like some magic dirt to cure COVID. So I think you're wrong. I think Facebook's way more exciting than LinkedIn.
Do
Just
you
saying.
have
it's
Facebook,
Meta.
Damien?
No, I don't have
The
Facebook.
platform's still Facebook, Matt. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not a loser. So all right, let's go. Let's do it. Friday show.
I don't believe you.
Everybody excited?
Yeah, Yep. it's Friday.
Emma, you look very beige today.
I usually do, as do
That
you,
is
sir.
that true?
All right, here we go. This is how the show works. Friday show. Each of us take a category. I do story of the week. Matt does assholiest of the week.
I do.
Ari comes in with goodliest of the week, and
Weird.
Emma with irritatingest of the week. Do we have these in the right
better.
order?
No, that's
Are we-
but
are-
that's I like that. That's better.
We like this order.
I was
though?
mad that
We
you
like-
changed it, but then I liked it better as well, so it's okay.
We okay with from story to asshole to good to irritating? You fine with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Are
Right.
we gonna?
Maybe a
This is the
voicemail?
pre-production meeting live right now.
Maybe a voicemail.
I don't even notice a change.
Do we have a voicemail, Emma?
We have the equivalent of a voicemail.
All right, let's do it. Good. Story of the week. Let's do this.
Live sound
Do you know how
effects.
long I've been
We'll get
asking
them
a
here.
new bell sound effect? Do you know how long it's been?
You need to
Go
find one.
Yeah, go find one.
Jinx.
Story of the week brought to you by me. Here we go.
Yep.
Number one, Jack Dorsey steps down as Twitter CEO. Parag Agrawal. Ooh, that's tough. Succeeds him. That's it. Jack Dorsey stepping down from Twitter. Everyone knows.
Is that really the story, though?
That's one of the stories of the week.
Do we have other stories? I feel like there weren't other stories this
Number
week that
two.
matter. Oh,
Can't
Is
think
a
of
is a
There's more.
big. I'm calling this a big Omicron-y, COVID-y story. Google delays January office return after Omicron spread, and some subtext to this story, the illustrious Jim Cramer, who I want Matt Mascardi to become one day, wants he wants a nationwide vaccine mandate. He wants the military to run it. I kind of like that idea.
Nice.
He also
Really?
said that Biden doesn't have the guts and CEOs are chicken. I love it. I love Kramer for this.
Kramer's
He
been your
wants
new
Biden
friend
to
recently.
go out and put people and I don't know, hold them down while you jab them.
Yeah, I can imagine how that's gonna play in like central Idaho.
Oh, where people have all these guns.
I really don't care, but they worship the military there, so they'll love it. So that's the number two story of the week. The return of COVID. What does it mean? Who knows? Number three, squarely out of our kind of okay billionaire CEOs rule category. Here's the headline: Mark Cuban has bought a 77-acre town in Texas. I'm convinced this is our future. Beyond the
Is he
the
like
meta
Schitt's
penis space
Creeking.
race. Yeah, exactly. He's shit's creaking. Here's some subtext to this
Reverb
town,
that?
Matt. Ready for
Yep.
this? Here's
I did
another
it.
headline on this. Mark Cuban buys small Texas town that only has a mobile home park and strip club. So that's the town he's buying.
Different type of Schitt's Creek, but
Yeah, it's still shit though. It's fine.
That's let's be honest. That's a great town.
That's the number three story of the week. CEO slowly taking over. And the last story, just because I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to get too far away from this because I still think something weird's about to happen. But Berkshire's Charlie Munger says that now the stock market is even crazier than the .com bust. I just think it's something that I don't want to take my eyes off.
Which
completely,
part
'cause
though?
This
Is it
week
the
it's been so
Munger
bizarre. This
part?
week,
Is the
What?
Munger part the one that's fascinating to you, or is the .com crazy
it's
market
the crazy
part?
part because I just
Oh.
think we don't. I don't think the business news spends enough time in how crazy it really is these days.
I
You
read
know
that
what's-
as Vampire State's son is weird, right?
Well, that's fine.
Well, you know what's even crazier is that during the .com bust, like how
Yeah.
old was Charlie Munger? Like in his 70s?
He was like
He was
89.
like 86. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Emma. So it looks like you're ready. You want to vote first? You want these 4 stories?
Okay, you gave me some tough options here. Look, you went with Jack Dorsey steps down from
Seems like
Twitter,
the obvious
like,
one.
Yeah.
relatively earth-shattering news, and then you went
Is it
for
though? Is it
Google
rel-
delays office return. Mark Cuban buys a small Schitt's Creek town, but the strip club version, and like Munger says old man shit. That's what
Okay,
you've
Emma.
given me.
You gotta know how my mind works by now. Like
There is a curation problem.
no,
I
th-
think
you're
I'm
wrong.
gonna-
The headline represents a bigger world that I'm trying to get into. Like
That
we
you
have
didn't
we have a COVID.
explain.
Do I need to explain that about this new Omicron variant of the virus?
No,
how it
but
could
the
I
headline
need to
wasn't.
explain that CEOs are buying towns. That's nothing to you. And I need to explain that the stock market is out of effing control. I need to explain this stuff to you. Like this stuff is
Damien,
a CEO stepping down is huge news to you. That's important to you.
Damien, I
getting
was raised on
uncomfortable.
screen. So many of my brain cells are
A
dead.
CEO stepping down. That's so interesting.
P.S. It's Omicron, not
How
Omicron.
dare you? All right,
Okay,
what's your
I'm
vote?
gonna
Your
go.
vote
I'm
is clearly
going.
the bearded wonder.
No, I'm going Cuban.
Oh, see,
Really? I think you voted that
belittles
just
and
for
then
the
she
strip
picks.
club.
I mean, I am looking for a new place of employment. So
No, please don't work in Mark Cuban's town, ever.
Well,
yeah,
All right, what do you
I'll go to
think?
Munger's though.
Emma, we should unionize to get better
No windows
benefits
at
here, so you
Munger's.
don't have to do that.
Yeah,
I-
this is the official
All right, at
first
the
meeting
end
of
of
the
the sh-
Ari Emma union.
At the end of the show, Ari can explain what it's like to get a bank account at Free Float Media.
Yeah, Ari pretends to
Makes
be
me
all
cry.
woke, but with her union, but then she wants to go to Bank of America as her bank. Like, I don't get you, Ari. Seriously, like that is I'm sorry, but
Let the
all right,
woman vote.
what's your choice?
You know, Google
Don't
delays
just say
in
what
your
Emma
office
says.
is
You guys
just,
are always overlapping each other. It's
I
boring.
don't care about that. I don't care about that. I don't care about Mark Cuban buying a town, but I did not know that you could buy whole towns. Nobody told
Well, you're
me.
not rich enough to
Clearly
know
never
these
seen
things.
Schitt's Creek.
I have not.
It is evident.
I'm gonna go with Jack Dorsey,
All
and
right,
not
Matt.
because he just steps down, but because what he's focused on now.
Matt, you could give us
Ooh,
a
good
give us a
pivot.
winner,
Into
or you could
square
create a
block,
tie.
cube. It's
Rhombus.
going to be a tie. It's going to be a tie because the right answer here is Omicron.
Yeah,
It's-
you guys are so out of it. You guys think that's just not important anymore.
I mean,
really.
literally, it's taken over. The markets are taken over by. They're petrified. They're totally petrified by this thing that we're going to go back to the comforts of our houses and Zoom calls instead of having to make fake small talk at
Yeah.
water coolers. I
Even
don't know.
Peloton's a buy again, Matt. And
I know,
and
it's-
Peloton builds machines that eat children, and now
And
now the
they're
market
back.
wants you to buy it again. Yeah.
They're
Look,
back.
This pandemic has been almost
Here we go.
10% of my life. So,
Yeah.
and my memory is
Just
very
because you're
short.
9 years old.
Whoa,
Just because you're
that's
9 years old does
crazy.
not mean
20 months
anything.
I'm
Like,
like COVID, Delta, Omicron, just like
You're-
You
woo.
know-
Okay, Emma's bored of the. I
No, but
get
you
it.
know what's crazier? Like
Yeah.
when I think of my grandparents, like yeah, it's
ahead.
been 10% of your life, Emma, but it's probably been like 30% of the life they have left.
Oh,
Oh,
stop.
that was
wow.
so
Ouch.
dark.
That's
Yeah,
just,
get out-
yeah,
get
that
over
just
yourself,
made it
Ari.
worse.
You ruined-
Look,
all right, I'm
the-
gonna
the-
break the tie.
The
Yeah.
business answer here is Omicron because it makes the markets petrified, but it's also consolidated power in dual class autocrats and technocrats and the shareholder class, right? Like you have Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and you have all the dual class online companies. Their power has come in part because of a pandemic that is ongoing. And the research suggests that these pandemics are not like 2-year things. They usually take 5 to 8 years to actually resolve. In reality, because you have a global pandemic, and that's the problem. So this isn't like Omicron is like right now and then the pandemic's over necessarily. This could keep going on, and there's no stopping the college dropouts with dual class shares from owning our lives for the rest of eternity potentially. That is the real story.
Yeah, I'm gonna break the tie. I'm agreeing with Matt here because
Correct.
more than just the pandemic, there are. I think Matt, you're right to point out that there are seeds being planted in the corporate world right now during the pandemic and over the past few years that are going to have significant ramifications over the next like probably 20 to 50 years. You're right. Like there's all these like decisions being made. There's wealth being hoarded. There's all kinds of crazy things going on right now because of this stupid thing that Ari and Emma are both bored of. All right,
Hey,
moving
Mark
on.
Cuban can buy a town because of it. Are we ready for my segment?
Feel depressed. Assholiest
It's Matt's turn.
of the week. Go ahead, Matt.
Assholiest of the week.
Do you
Here's
get a
my
bell?
bell.
I don't know. I don't know if you deserve one.
Done.
I guess.
No, that was the stall tactic because Emma couldn't find the bell button. That's what was happening in the background. I know because I know where the bell button
Emma,
is.
you're so creative. You're like musical theater creative, and really, you come up with a bell. I don't get it.
I came up with the
I
bell
was given the bell.
in 2019 when we started the show that you never listened to. I actually created the bell.
You're literally never not on TikTok. Just find a new sound effect.
All right, here are the 3 choices for
Yeah, go.
assholiest of the week.
Do it.
Number 1, Chevron.
Always.
Okay, that's asshole
Yes.
always.
Wait for the context. The context here is Chevron. So back earlier this year in July, actually, Chevron announced New Energies Group as part of its pivot away from fossil fuels. They named a guy named Jeff Gustafson, who actually his new energy experience included spending his entire career at Chevron. This week, though, Chevron announced new buybacks because apparently the fossil fuels they're pivoting away from have suddenly gotten incredibly lucrative for them. It drove the stock up. They smashed earnings expectations this quarter. Here's a money shot quote from an article in something called Rig Zone. I guess all they do is follow oil stuff. Chevron CEO, quote, Chevron CEO Mike Wirth is betting on a strategy of enriching shareholders and increasing fossil fuel production while at the same time addressing climate concerns by lowering a controversial measure of carbon emissions. And here's why Chevron might be the asshole of the week. You can't increase fossil fuel productions and address carbon emissions. You fucktard. That's why you might
By
be.
2050.
Can't if you're Chevron.
So that's number 1. That's your number
All
1
right.
choice. And your knee jerk is going to be it's Chevron all the way. But stay with me. Number
No, it's not my
2.
knee jerk.
It's mine.
It's everybody's knee jerk. Number
Nope.
2. Regulators.
All
here's why.
regulators? Okay.
Well, pick your
Me.
regulator.
This
but
is mine. This is the one I choose.
context here. Here's your headline. Barclays, RBS, HSBC, Credit Suisse, and UBS were fined for taking part in a Forex trading cartel.
Yep.
You don't know what
Oh, what?
Forex is?
Yep.
It's foreign exchange.
I actually do know.
Foreign exchange trading. So they're trading currencies.
Yep.
Well, anytime you see the word cartel next to your
Don't feel good
company in a
about
headline, it's really not. It should not be good. You should
Sounds
get
sexy though.
you should get shivers. But here is the guts of the story. The 5 banks
Mhm.
that were doing they were basically there were some traders inside of them who were calling each other up some years ago. This didn't happen like yesterday. This is years ago because it takes years to settle these things. They were manipulating currency prices and discussing their trading strategies. And they were doing it to screw their clients, of course. Here's the money shot, though. The 5 firms were fined a combined $390 million. Combined.
Ooh.
We'll put it into
Nothing.
context. I don't know what that means.
Let me
It's
put it into
nothing.
context for you. They made a combined revenue
Yes.
in just the last year of $150 billion.
What a joke. What
This is like
a
the Aaron
joke.
Rodgers fine.
This is worse than that in some ways.
Can they call?
This
Can
is
they rename this the Aaron Rodgers fine?
so this is why you're an asshole, regulators. Your job is to deter behavior of companies that you regulate, right? Like
They're
deter
just
bad
putting
behavior.
a price tag on it that's not too outrageous to pay.
I'm going to make it worse because usually these fines are tax deductible. As in, they pay the fine and they get to write it off in their taxes. And the regulators saw
Wait,
fit to confine.
That's true.
That's true. That's a real thing. Regulators saw fit to fine them 0.2% of their revenue
That they can then deduct.
the last year.
Huh.
That's like making me give you a stick of gum for robbing an entire Nordstrom. It basically is totally meaningless. So do your jobs, regulators. So that's your number 2 choice. So you
That's
got
insane.
Chevron and regulators. And now number 3, and this one's squarely for Damien. Number 3 is co-CEOs.
Asshole of the week. That's
As
strong. I
an
wanna hear this.
asshole of the week.
Convince me.
News
Plural.
broke this week. Yes, assholes, I guess. No, the
Yes.
idea of
No,
co-CEOs.
the idea is it's one.
The idea. It's one. It's
Plus,
one
it's
unified
two
asshole.
cheeks, so I think it kind of works if you think about it.
But one
News
hole.
broke this week that Salesforce CEO has a new co-CEO in Brett Taylor. The data actually shows that co-CEOs in history last, on average, 2 years relative to the regular
Well-
CEOs that last 5.
Yeah, but that's basically 4 years. I mean, it's math is.
It's
I know
4
math is hard
combined
for you, but
years,
right.
I
So it's basically
suppose.
the same. Basically the same.
Here are a short list of companies that have tried. This is the list of douchebags that have tried co-CEOs in the recent past. Number 1, SAP. They had the structure for 6 months before it failed. Oracle tried it once. Can you imagine being co-CEO with Larry Ellison?
No.
I
you
think it'd be
imagine
very
that?
relaxing. Like you wouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah, it's basically getting a lot of money
This
to
is a
be
job
told
for
you're
Damien.
Yeah, it is.
Damien,
You're an idiot.
apply.
Citigroup tried it. Deutsche Bank tried it. Everybody's favorite bank.
Ugh.
BlackBerry, the now incredibly relevant BlackBerry, had
I love
co-CEOs for a little
BlackBerry.
while. And you know who else tried this? Salesforce 8 months ago. This is literally the second time in the last year that Salesforce has tried
Yeah.
co-CEOs.
Cry for help from Mark Benioff.
In
I
this
feel you,
case, Benioff will actually retain his board chair position
Mhm.
and CEO title, and Brett Taylor is now vice chair. So instead of just having one CEO chair combination,
Basically
you have
co-chair.
two. You have co-chairs
Yeah.
and co-CEOs. So Salesforce gets twice the outsized governance influence.
Right.
And this is why you're an asshole. We don't need co-popes. We don't need co-Santa. There's no,
I
like
agree
when
with that.
What
Genghis
about
Khan.
Mrs. Claus?
Yeah, she's not
They're a
co-Santa.
Yes, she is. Come on.
All
you
right,
know that
equality,
she does
please.
more
What
than
does
half
keep
the
it
work,
down?
and he
Even
just does
do?
it for one night a year. I don't want to
Seriously,
hear
what
it
does
from
she
you.
even do? Like, what does she do?
She
All the
runs the
emotional
whole
labor.
operation.
The
when
emotional
Santa's-
labor.
We have proof. We
Agreed.
have proof that she runs the whole operation.
She's the emotional labor. Genghis Khan did not have, he dubbed himself universal ruler. He didn't have a guy like named Jim Schwartz from accounting who was like co-galactic chief. It didn't happen. Pick a person and move on. We can use one CEO, one person we can govern. Forget the rest of this nonsense. So those are your 3 options. Number 1 was Chevron, buybacks, and fossil fuel ramping up
tough.
production. Number 2 is regulators, not actually regulating anything. And number 3, co-CEOs. Salesforce co-CEOs have co-power and co-crap.
We're okay with co-founders, though, right, Matt? You like that? You okay with co-founders?
I hate
now.
anybody who's got a co-founder.
Can I vote first?
Yep.
Yes.
Get it over with. Well, let me ask you this, Matt. Regulators? You're not talking about the people who actually,
Not
do
the human beings, the regulatory
You're talking
bodies.
about the people who set the Who sets the policies for these fines? Do you even know? Like, do you know how that works?
They usually are negotiated. So this was a settlement, a fine,
Okay,
and
that's
negotiation.
it. That's mine. You already. Yeah, you had me at regulators. I don't know. It's irritating, and I think it's because I've been consistently irritated with Aaron Rodgers since that whole story broke. So this kind
That's
of
true.
falls into that category for me. Like, can we just get? Can we find people accurately? Can we do some kind of percentage of yeah, like exactly what you said, Matt. It just pisses me
You
off.
know,
So
they do that with
regulators,
speeding fines. I forget in one country,
they do.
but
Just so
it's a
you know,
percentage of your income.
Probably Portugal, where coke is legal.
So I thought that was cool.
Just so you know, if you cheat on your taxes in this country, there is like a percentage like rule that they use as part of the fine. If you're a major bank and you manipulate a giant market, not so much.
Yeah, right.
Emma or
my vote.
Ari?
I'll go. I really thought you were gonna have me with Chevron. Like I was all in until the regulators kills me.
Ooh,
That's
you're
because
That's my
everybody's
pick.
more of an asshole.
well, Chevron's always an asshole. No offense.
Regulators are always assholes too, arguably.
I don't know about that. Not in all fields. In this one particularly.
But how often do you see a regulatory body fine an organization who has done something heinous and you look at the fine and go, that seems reasonable? Has it ever happened?
I don't spend a lot of time.
When
reading
they
about this stuff.
fined BNP Paribas $9 billion for basically stripping the IDs off of transactions they were doing to avoid sanctions violations, they actually the amount of money was the most at the time
That was
ever handed
EU
down.
regulators.
No, that was the U.S. Department of Justice.
Oh.
What we found in the research is the U.S. Department of Justice loves fining the shitballs out of European
Out of
and
the French.
foreign entities and never does it for U.S. entities because a number of U.S. banks were found doing the same thing and their fines were like 100 million, and BNP
Wow.
Paribas did it and it was 9 billion. And what they have over them is called dollar clearance. When the banks, they need to clear their transactions in a currency. Most of the banks do it in dollars if they're international banks and they have a lot of operations, or U.S. banks. And the U.S. banks tend to be some of the biggest in the world. So the U.S. regulators, their leverage over BNP was, we will deny you dollar clearance for some period of time entirely if you don't pay us a massive fine, and we're
Sounds like-
still going to
Wow.
deny it to you for a little bit. So this is
Sounds
like
the Brits and Giphy.
this fine is like laughable.
All right,
But Emma, you have to
what's
vote.
your vote?
I feel like in some circuitous way, Matt just proved my point. But I am going regulators, as I previously declared.
Clean sweep.
However,
It's a clean sweep.
I am going to add a little
There's a but.
addendum, a little
Yeah.
conspiracy theory sprinkle onto the
Please.
co-CEO story, which is
yeah.
the fact that there has been 2 sets of CEOs within the last 8 months at Salesforce. I think that something shady's going on. I don't know what's happening, but I think that Salesforce is
really?
going to have some big news. I
want you to make up the
co-CEOs
shady
is-
story, Emma.
by the
because
end, by our predictions, I'll have one.
I just think it's a kind of Bob Iger boring, which is that. I mean, Mark Benioff is Salesforce.
Well,
He's
Bob
he's
Iger and
clearly
Bob
desperate
Chapek,
to
there
leave.
was a reason for them being co-CEOs because Bob Chapek screwed up with China.
No,
He did
it's-
something that really
that's
pissed off
part
China.
of it. But I think the bigger thing that with both of those is that Bob Iger, Mark Benioff are just uber important, and Benioff is eager to get the F out, and he just can't figure out how to get
No,
out. And
Benioff has
maybe there's
declared
succession
that
planning.
he's never leaving.
Okay, but he's saying that to appease
Me too.
investors.
Mark
He's-
Benioff quite literally has verbatim said, "I am never leaving."
Yeah, it's clearly a joke. I mean, he wants to get out, but their succession planning sucks, and maybe that's because of his ego. Maybe it's because of Bob Iger's ego that they can't groom someone. I have no idea, but I want you to come up
All right,
with
I'll
this
come
fake
up with a
scandal.
conspiracy theory.
But I just think that they
I
don't know
love
how
fake
to
scandals.
they don't know how to quit Benioff. All right,
All right.
Goodliest of the week.
you.
Ari, I'm excited. I think you
I'm
ignored
ready.
the story I sent you, so I want to hear the story you did choose. Not
Oh,
only did
here
you
we
ignore
go.
it, you didn't even respond. You didn't even like. Usually
was
you
a
respond
full-on ignore.
with 18 exclamation points with everything I do.
Ari's having a tough day. She's really upset about the bank
Ari
situation.
Okay.
did choose one of the stories I sent her, so
Oh, there you go.
I did
She
read
looks
yours
slouchy.
to
All right,
Matt,
go ahead.
Damien, and I said, "How is this good?" Anyway, we'll start with BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed news workers walk off the job to protest contract talks.
Okay,
Who doesn't
like
like a
that.
good worker protest?
Ooh,
So
I do.
They walked out yesterday because they've been trying to get a contract for 2 years.
Hmm.
BuzzFeed is supposed to go public next week. This is a great time to bring attention to themselves.
Hard to believe
What is hard to believe?
that a listicle company that tells me to buy like soap in the
Listicle.
shape of ass cheeks is going public.
That
I'd
is
buy
hard to
that.
believe,
Yeah.
actually.
But even though listicle writers, well, this is the news section, by the way. It's not.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Anyway,
The BuzzFeed news workers are walking out, right? And they
Yes.
actually have it's pretty reputable journalism at this point. It's shockingly, I'll say, it's relatively new department there, I think.
yeah, no, and they want higher pay, like floor pay,
Mhm.
arguing that the floor pay is not a livable wage, and
Okay.
guarantee raises every year. So I thought that was great. Protests rile me up, so good.
Sure.
They sure do.
Next, Netflix. They moved $100 million into black banks and other black-led
Oh.
financial institutions.
Huh.
They
Maybe we
actually
should
did
listen
it.
to that. Maybe we should really listen to what's going on.
If only they had a co-CEO and I could hear them better.
What?
Wait, don't they?
No, they don't have co-CEOs.
Oh, they used to have.
Ted
didn't Netflix have
Sarandos isn't
co-CEOs?
Ted
actually.
Sarandos is just CEO now.
Oh. All right, go ahead, Ari.
Interesting. So they made this pledge last year, and they actually went
Yep.
through with it. Money going into these institutions means more money for mortgages and small business loans in black communities. A large portion is said to support black home ownership, which is a lot of times first-time homeowners. All in all, $100 million is only 2% of their cash holdings, but $100 million is better than $0 million. And they did
True.
announce after they made this money move that they are looking to top
Making
it off
money moves.
yearly.
I will say that your math checks out. 100 million is better than 0 million.
I will say that. Can I just say this though? Netflix's website does list co-CEOs.
Oh no!
So I'm sad that we missed making fun of them during Matt's segment. Okay,
I'm sad we did too.
go ahead, Ari.
All right, last one. Emma's not going to like this one because it's cars and not public transportation. But
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Nissan, they are going to spend $18 billion developing a cheaper, more powerful EV battery. By 2030, they're going to have 15 new EV models, as well as.
Nissan, though. Nobody likes Nissan.
What do you mean? Matt's
Why?
going to buy the new Leaf, right, Matt?
I'm all in on the Leaf.
See? Matt's going to get a charging station at his house, and it's going to be one of my employee perks.
Using
Right,
my
Matt?
electricity.
I think you just outed the fact
Right?
that you work at Matt's house.
No. This is a multinational office.
Okay.
My office will have free charging, right?
Ari, put it into
This
context.
is the only way I
18
could convince
$18
somebody
billion
to.
over like 10 years. Is that significant for Nissan? I don't even know.
It is significant for the technology they're developing, yes. So anyway, they
Okay.
estimate that by
Is that
2030,
context? Yeah.
We'll go with it. Keep going, Ari.
that by
Sure.
2030, EV electric vehicles will make up 40% of sales in the US, and I find that really great. So
That sounds too low.
2030.
I'm out on Nissan.
Jesus.
Am I voting first? Because I'm out on Nissan.
do you want
I'm
me to
not
explain
impressed.
the technology that they're doing? It's solid state batteries.
Not
It's really
impressed.
cool.
Really cool.
It's really
I guess,
If
but I
Ari
mean,
says
they
it's
just
cool, it
sound like
probably is.
they sound like the 14th car company to announce this in the last like 5 years. Am I wrong?
It hasn't
Well,
been 18 billion though. 18
they
billion
have-
is more than most.
They've had to spend a significant amount of time describing how Carlos Ghosn got out of the jurisdiction in a cello case. They spend a lot of years figuring that one out. So
Can you
they're
give
just getting
people
around to EV.
context? No one knows what you're talking
Carlos Ghosn was their
Oh, I do.
ex-chair. He, Damon, you know this. You tell the story.
Well, he was in Japan as he was being held in Japan as a fugitive
Yeah, well, he was convicted, or he was under house arrest because he like embezzled. They accused him of embezzling money
yeah,
or
and Japan
fraud.
would not
or-
let him leave until the case was tried. But Carlos has multiple residences, and working with Nissan, which also is Nissan is a part of I want to say Fiat as well.
And I
There are
believe
like
that's right.
several international enterprises that make up the Nissan global empire. So technically, he had like feet in different jurisdictions. So he decided that he didn't want to be in Japan anymore, and his buddies helped him escape in a cello case.
Yeah, they
That's it. I mean,
literally
that's the
packed
story,
the
really. And I think
chair
he,
of the Nissan board
yeah,
in a cello case in the trunk of a car and then in like luggage like it's
going to like
straight
Lebanon.
out of a crazy like spy movie. That's how he
Wow.
escaped jurisdiction in Japan and has not gone back.
What is the smallest instrument case you can fit in next week?
Piccolo.
Excellent question.
No, that
Excellent
you
question.
can fit in.
Oh, me.
Damien, do you
Yeah.
think you're the size of a
Piccolo.
piccolo?
All right.
What?
I'm gonna vote first.
Yes,
Not
Damien.
Nissan. Sorry, you didn't convince me. You didn't. Not enough context. I don't care. And I'm with
Oh.
Emma. Public transportation. I'm worried about public
You're only
transportation.
listen. You borrow your mom's
especially 'cause of
car.
COVID.
Maybe you should look into this.
So he is using
wow.
public
Yeah.
transportation.
Yeah,
Ooh.
exactly. We share cars. We share yard equipment around here. Like, yeah, we're sharing economy up here. Ari, get used to it. Deal with it. Netflix. You said 2%. I don't know. It sounds like
Dude,
sounds like
it's a
greenwashing
start.
to me. Blackwashing.
100 million.
Why? Why
They
only
and they came through, I
2%?
feel like to support the goodliness of this story on Ari's behalf, they did pledge this and they followed
did.
through on their pledge.
Okay, but
which is
Matt,
unusual.
And
why
this
only
was
2%,
before,
Matt?
their
it-
bad recent PR. So it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like because of that.
Matt, 2%? Should I care about
Inflation is less is hovering around 1%.
You know-
that? Doesn't that seem more condescending that they're doing this, but they're only doing 2%?
I gave you too much context in number 2 and not enough in number 3.
Well,
Apparently.
that's your thing. And BuzzFeed, I mean,
Okay, clearly you hate everything I did today. Can you just pick one?
No, this is a tough one for me. Why did
It's
I
tough
choose to
because
go
he hates
first?
them
Is the
all.
real question.
Why
All right, I
is
will
he going
go.
first?
I'll end up with Netflix.
Why?
All right.
Why? Because I can't really get excited about BuzzFeed news. I mean, look, I'm with you. I'm all for labor movement, labor right, all that crap. But I mean, I don't know.
All right.
You know, we
Fine.
basically work for snarky listical
Yeah.
media company ourselves.
I'm
Matt loves lists.
we just
Even
created
if
that.
We all
It's
kind
just a
of
bit
do.
of, even if it's just
All right.
a bit of blackwashing, I think what Netflix is doing is important, and I will at least support that.
All right, Matt. This is not you supporting it, Damien.
Well, I'm gonna
just so you know.
I'm
Go
gonna-
donate.
I'm gonna urinate all over Damien's Netflix pick because
Good.
they're spending $100 million on black banks and black-led financial institutions. In the same year, they spent $60 million on Dave Chappelle's streaming.
black. Also black.
Yeah, well, where he makes transphobic comments for the entirety of it, right? So I get
not the
it.
entirety.
And simultaneously, if they're willing to spend $60 million on like a single comedian, but $100 million they're going to put in black banks and this is for an institution that made conservatively $6 or $7 billion in 2020 of
Yeah, but this is their
revenue.
cash holdings. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna say Netflix. It is a start and it's something because Ari's math is correct. 100 million is more than 0 million,
Exactly.
but not great. The BuzzFeed workers and the Nissan spending 18 billion to develop EV batteries. GM announced a $35 billion transition to electric vehicles by 2025, didn't they? Or was it 2030
This
also?
is specifically for this one technology they're spending 18 billion on, which is a
EV
lot. This
battery.
is not for the whole thing. This is for solid
many
state
personal
EV
cars
batteries.
these
They
days.
already have
Nissan-
EV
Too many
batteries.
personal
They're
cars.
using it for 15 new EV models by 2030, and GM announced 30 EV models that they're planning on releasing in the same time. So it's nice and it's fine, but Carlos Ghosn in a cello case is actually better news and more interesting to me than this
Is he still in the case? Is that what
necessarily.
you're suggesting?
I think he's actually
Oh, okay.
taking tea as we speak in a cello case. I'm going to go with BuzzFeed.
Whoa.
Because I agree. Look, the fact is We're about to have a unionization vote for Amazon again in Alabama.
Yes.
We're dealing with walk-offs at
Starbucks in Buffalo.
Activision Blizzard because they sexually harass everyone who walks in their doors.
After
This
2
is
months, Kellogg is coming to an agreement.
the universe in sports has been talking about the player empowerment era. We are in the employee empowerment era right now. Employees are actually starting to do stuff. And when they realize they can buy shares of the company and they can own like 1% of the company and affect the outcomes like engine number 1 did, I feel like we might be in a real movement of strikes and employee
capitalism.
action, stakeholder capitalism in action. I think that's the goodliest news of the week.
Emma?
All right, that's why I picked it.
I have to admit, I'm having a hard time. I thought that I was gonna go Netflix, and now I'm thinking BuzzFeed, but now I'm sort of thinking going back to Netflix again. I don't know.
Nissan was never in the running.
Nissan
I
didn't
mean,
even
you
Emma.
pointed.
Yeah.
You said it at the very beginning before you even
Yeah.
said what the story was. I
would also like
cheated.
to point out that this battery technology, not just
Ugh.
for electric vehicles, right? So
Ari,
saying.
you got to get over it. There are too many.
She's so
there are
into the
too much
battery.
There's too much car ownership. There's too much money spent on roads for cars. It's ridiculous. Get over it, Ari.
We should never
Ari,
leave our homes.
what's this cryptic note in your BuzzFeed story? 60 out of 1100. What is that note? What does that
What,
mean?
you want more context?
Yeah, I'm just curious. I already voted. I'm just curious what that means.
The
That's
union
the number of
would
employees walking
only-
off.
would
Out
only
of the total amount of okay.
BuzzFeed employs 1,100 people. 60 people are the ones in the union.
Okay, got it.
I think I'm gonna stick with the momentum of stakeholder action. So I'm
That's
going
right.
BuzzFeed.
That's
You
correct.
guys are already over the BLM movement. Great.
That's correct.
Good for
I
you
hate that
guys.
the BLM movement is really close to the BM movement, which actually makes
In your eyes only.
It needs,
so the winner
it needs
is
a new acronym.
the goodliest story of the week is BuzzFeed News Strikers. Moving
correct.
on, irritatingest of the week. Emma, take it away. Is that what they say? Take it away. Where'd you take it?
Welcome to irritatingest of the week. So there's a new title. If you have been listening to this show, this is the new title. It used to be problematicaliest,
New
which
every week.
Because that was
doesn't-
impossible to say.
it doesn't really roll off the tongue. So Damien changed it behind my back, but I like it, so I guess I'll forgive him.
Emma,
and given
Emma
the new
can't
title-
even use the outlining process in her notes. It's just
Whatever.
a mess. Just a mess.
Damien
ahead.
and I just have different styles, and he's trying to figure out how to feel okay about that, and I'll give him time. But given the new title of my segment, I have decided to adjust my picks. So I think it's going to be the most irritating rather than most problematic. And I think
Got
that
it.
this is a key nuance because my
That's the
picks are going
difference.
to be less, look at this big, bad, no good, horrible thing, and more incessant golden flea buzzing around all of our heads, if
Oh,
that
got
makes
it.
sense to everyone.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
this
yeah.
is
I'm
how you're
with you.
judging this. I
I'm
wanted
with
to give you
you.
some criteria.
All right. I'm annoyed
All right.
already.
Story number 1. Elon Musk's brother has organized a crypto collective to overhaul the philanthropy industry and address food
Of
inequality.
course.
Do we need to go any further than that? I'm already
he
irritated.
might not, frankly.
That's
Okay,
kind of
so
assholey though. Well, this is irritating. Okay, go
This
ahead.
No,
is
this
irritating.
is irritating. That's
Okay.
not an asshole. That's just irritating.
I can
Well,
give
could be both.
I can give context.
Yeah, do it.
Why is this bad?
So here's some background. So Kimball Musk founded his nonprofit
His name's
Big
Kimball.
Green
That's why it's bad.
in 2011 in order to combat food insecurity by funding community gardens, mostly because, of course, that's what people who are food insecure need, to take the time to garden and grow their own food instead of just
It's the
being
whole
handed some
bootstrap
fucking food.
concept, right?
Yep, we love some bootstraps.
Well, Emma, as you know, he's a Brooklyn entrepreneur who wears a cowboy hat. So that urban farming is really for him and his buddies.
Yes, of course. But as of recently, this nonprofit has created the Big Green DAO. At least I think it's DAO rather than DAO. I'm really, really sorry if I sound like an idiot. But if
DAO.
any of you can tell me what a DAO is right now, I will give you $20.
Ari can do it right now.
Ari,
Yeah.
go.
It is a. Do you want me
Yeah,
to?
Ari knows.
It's
Do
an
you want me to
acronym.
define
the
it?
official thing. Yes.
No,
go
just give me the acronym.
Oh, decentralized association organizations.
Oh,
So
God,
close.
Ari.
Autonomous. Oof, I was almost
Keep your
autonomous.
money, Emma.
Autonomous.
Ari, we just
I
did a
almost had
podcast on
free
this.
lunch today.
Ari, you're so. It's
We literally
this is
just
because
did
Ari's
this
so
podcast.
slouched. You need to sit up, Ari. Come on, get in the show.
I-
There you go.
Your posture's
Jeez
fine.
Louise. Yeah, don't listen to
all right.
anything Damien says.
So, as Ari was very close to getting, yeah, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization, aka a blockchain-based group that is owned by the members of its community. And this one has a built-in treasury that can only be accessed if the group approves the use of the funds. So it's crypto shit.
Sounds
and
great.
this is why
Emma.
and this is why it's irritating. According to Forbes, Kimball Musk is, and they point this out very specifically, conservatively worth about $700 million. Conservatively.
That's it. Stop. It's got to be more than that.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's why, because no one really seems to have an idea of just how much he invested in Tesla in the early days. Like, no one seems to have a grasp on that number. So really,
That's more
no
frightening
one,
fact.
isn't it? And oh, we should just start doing most frightening of the week. I like that one too. Sorry, side note. And if he wants, so he's worth about $700 million, probably more like $1 billion and upward. So if he really wants to address food inequality, he really does not need a crypto collective to do it. He could simply hand the money over to someone who knows what they're doing and can actually feed people immediately, like addressing food insecurity is supposed to do.
Yeah. What?
Num-
Yeah, Emma. Whatever happened to Kimball's brother in the UN? Right? Wasn't he supposed to?
Oh, just you wait. I'm getting there. Number
Good,
two
good.
reason why this is irritating is
Yes.
guess who one of the community members of the DAO is? ARK Invest's Kathy Wood, our favorite
Ooh.
godly
Matt's favorite.
billionaire, and I do not feel great about her involvement.
I like her.
Mm.
She's a crazy
Number three.
person. I like that.
Kimball is now one of two Musk brothers to claim that they can solve world hunger, and then they do not. If the two of them just gave the UN that $6 billion, it would seem like mission accomplished. And somehow it never really seems to come to fruition with either of them. So that's why I find this story to be incredibly irritating. Moving on.
Okay.
I'm
Story
with
number
you.
2.
Yeah.
Story number 2.
Story number 2. PayPal saw the use of its buy now, pay later option soar nearly 400% on Black Friday, according to the CEO. This one is less of a saga. I'll get to the point. According to data from, ironically, Salesforce, so we'll see if we
Brett
trust it.
Taylor or Mark Benioff?
I think it was a
It's gotta
joint
be
venture.
Taylor.
The use of the payment method globally during Cyber Week from November 23rd to this Monday jumped 29% year over year. And here's why this is irritating to me. These buy now, pay later services are not only encouraging overconsumption, which they absolutely do, and we're at the height of a climate crisis where people should maybe be thinking about their consumption. So they're encouraging people to buy crap that they don't need. But additionally, they are also little leeches who are trying to steal money in the form of late payments and fees from their users. And there is little to no public data about how frequently customers default on what are effectively short-term loans, and it looks like an economic disaster waiting to happen. So this 400% looks so enticing and nice, and look at these little loans, but it's irritating the shit out of me because it's so misleading.
Oh,
Isn't
wow.
this just a credit card?
It's layaway. No, it's layaway.
It's
I know,
layaway.
but
Layaway.
isn't that the whole concept? Buy now, pay later.
So they actually all function very differently. So some of them function as loans, some of them function more as credit cards. And so some of them will report to creditors, some of them won't. Some of them will have you pay interest, some of them won't. Some of them have late fees, some of them won't. And so there's no regulation on any of this, which furthers the irritation factor.
Okay.
And number 3,
Yes.
the headline says, inside Lululemon and Peloton's messy legal battle over sports bras. And
Okay, now we're talking. Finally.
here you go.
Why is this
So,
irritating? This is
a quick-
amazing.
Ready? I'll give you the background very quickly.
Yeah. let's do it.
So Lululemon and Peloton have been collaborating since 2016 on their workout apparel, which basically consisted of Lululemon clothing with the Peloton P logo stamped onto it. But they are no longer doing that collaboration because Peloton makes their apparel in-house. And they are now in the midst of a double lawsuit concerning their patent ownership because Lululemon is arguing that their designs are too similar.
Oh.
So Peloton preemptively sued them, and then Lululemon sued them back.
course.
And so I know that you guys are like, Emma, this is stupid. Why are we talking
Yeah,
about
tell
this?
us.
Exactly. Why are we talking about this? The
Yeah.
world is burning, and I have to read through endless news about who has true ownership over the strappy bra design. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Blah blah blah.
You know,
Yes.
I find the headline really irritating
Okay,
because
is that
Mhm.
your vote? Are you
inside
voting?
Lululemon Peloton's messy legal battle over sports bras, as if sports bras were just this lesser thing. Like,
Well, they're trying to get clicks.
Well,
I hate
That's
it.
I
true.
like I like that simultaneously in this country there's a battle over abortion rights. And
Oh.
this headline is focusing on the legal battle of sports bras
Yep.
between Peloton and Lululemon, which
Is that
both
your
of
vote,
which-
Ari?
hold on. No.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm actually
no.
gonna
Yeah,
have
no,
Matt go
yes.
first.
Oh,
Oh.
Matt's gonna go first.
Oh, Matt, go first.
Well,
This is an easy
so
one for me.
yeah, well, Lululemon and Peloton both have male CEOs. I like how irritating it is that a couple of white dudes are fighting over sports bra designs with each other, right? Like
Mhm.
that to me is fantastic.
This is my
Um,
sports bra. No, it's mine.
I think PayPal is one of many with this buy now pay later option, and I think this is less like irritating and more like a pandemic of buy now pay later. So it's not.
Yep.
It doesn't. I actually have a technical problem with PayPal in that I'm not irritated by it. I'm more terrified by it. Elon
enough.
Musk's brother is irritating in as much as everywhere he goes, he wears a cowboy hat. And when he's organizing a crypto collective to overhaul philanthropy and address food inequality, wearing a cowboy hat, where his qualifications was he runs a cattle ranch and he's Elon Musk's brother. That is the definition of irritating. There's
Isn't it?
nothing else more irritating than that. It's not irritating to me that two white guys are fighting over sports bras. That's fun and funny. I'm going to go with Kimball Musk.
All right, Damien.
I
Ari's going
disagree.
last.
Let's not. Look, I'm not gonna pick Lululemon and Peloton, but I will say let's not forget how horrible the founder of Lululemon is. Scandal-ridden Chip Wilson, who said such things as that smoking and birth control pills led to high divorce rates. But forget about Lululemon.
Strappy bra.
I'm with you on the PayPal thing, Emma. I mean, and I think this is part of the reason why Matt and I mocked you both for discounting the importance of the pandemic, because I think this is part of the reckoning that might be coming. I don't know. I think it's a what is it? Irritating? Wait, we're irritated, right?
Irritating.
It's not
The
problematically.
irritating. I'm going to clarify that the irritating thing
Yeah.
to me is that this headline is presenting it as like it soars 400% on Black Friday as
Okay.
if it's a good thing.
Well, I'll tell you this: if it was last week, I think I might even pick the PayPal thing as the most problematic because
Fair enough.
I would agree. But irritated, I mean, how could I be more irritated by anyone but that family? I'm sorry, but I mean, just the idea of a self-titled Brooklyn entrepreneur who wears a cowboy hat. I mean, there's nothing to me. There could be nothing more irritating.
Is Kimball
That's
trying
right.
to undermine Bezos by wearing a cowboy hat?
I think
that
it's
what-
some kind of hybrid between his corny South African roots, because it's a little like honky tonk. The white people there are a little creepy and honky tonk, and I think it's also like his way of standing
the
out
buzzer?
in the Brooklyn
I don't know
like
what to do with that
hipster.
one.
In the Brooklyn hipster collective, like he's just trying to look a little badass, a little Austin, a little like a little Elon, because Elon's moving to. Emma, I don't care. I'm so sick of those.
He's
two. I don't
irritated.
care.
There you go. He's
I'm
sick
so
of it.
I got him.
Irritating. That is the
So
right
irritated.
answer.
What success.
my
All
vote.
right,
That's my
Ari. Round them out.
You people, I don't know. When I read that about food insecurity, I'm like, great. Thank you.
All right, can I just say, I definitely, look. I'm going to tell the audience, I love Ari, the data queen. Everyone knows
Uh-oh.
that.
But-
I know that's a
I
preface
fear,
that
Ari,
you don't want.
Sometimes I fear about you that you're the one, like when a billionaire walks up to a Salvation Army kettle during Christmas
That's
and puts
so
a $5
different,
bill in,
Damien.
you're like, oh, that's so great.
No.
Like he gave $5. They need that $5.
First
Okay.
of all, I don't support the Salvation Army. Second of
Oh,
all,
ouch! Salvation Army.
Okay,
No
Ari, I
one in
have a
their right mind
question.
supports this image.
When you're at CVS and you're doing self checkout and they say, "Would you like to donate an
Oh,
extra
round
2
up. I
cents?"
always round up. Yeah.
And that is where we differ. I always say no
I don't.
because it just goes to their tax exemptions.
It- I don't know about that, but Ari, I'm okay with you rounding up. I'm saying that I think you look at the philanthropy of billionaires and you're like in awe, like your eyes get all like sparkly, and you're like, "Thanks, guy."
I think there's a lot of potential, and I think a lot of people screw it up, but I think you can have a good, like a solid impact. And we can look at these people and say, hey,
Okay.
you have all this money, just hand it over to the people that already know how to do something about it. But like, first
I
of all,
think
they don't have to do anything, right? Second of
right, but I
all,
think
if
yeah.
they're getting in the way of actual help, yeah, screw them. I don't know how this is
I think
working
what
out.
Emma and I are asking is how do they get this money in the first place? Like, what is the system
But
in
that's not
place
the
that
point.
allows them to
So maybe
have
that's why
to
you're
hoard the wealth
irritated
in the
by
first
that.
place? I'm irritated by you clapping every time Charlie Munger puts $5 into the big black kettle.
I am glad that I got to tell you this CVS thing out of this conversation, though.
Does that also apply to Stop and Shop?
Like everyone, you're
I
paying
don't
for their
want to.
That
tax
is
exemptions.
horrible. And I
I
Yeah.
can't
actually
crap
like
on
it because in
CVS
my
today. 'Cause I'm
credit
getting my
card,
booster
it's
shot
like
there.
a solid round number. But now I'm going to have to stop doing that. Anyway,
I made a difference today.
I'm going to go with Lululemon just because I don't like how that headline's written.
I'm
I
with
like
you.
it.
This was lively. This was great.
All right.
Thanks.
The most irritating of the week is all the Musk losers. All right.
Correct.
Moving on. Do we have any voicemail, Emma?
Matt,
Yeah. So what we have is not a voicemail, but a message.
Oh, okay. I'll
Um,
take a message.
and it came in the form of a text 872 float 72. If you want to send us a text
Yes.
message, you can just send us a text about your thoughts and we'll get them. This
Really, what are you
message
waiting
was
for? Send
actually
it.
around Brian Kelly. This is not going to seem like a business news thing, but stay with it. Brian Kelly, who is the head coach of the Notre Dame football team, just got offered a $100 million 10-year contract with LSU, Louisiana State, and he accepted. And it's one of the largest contracts ever issued over that period of time for a college coach. And he's moved to Louisiana. 4 days after accepting and moving to Louisiana, he gives a speech on the floor of their like basketball arena, in which it's like they're celebrating him joining LSU. And Brian Kelly, who grew up in Everett, Massachusetts, and went to a prep school in Massachusetts, and was in Worcester, Massachusetts for a while, and then was in northern Indiana at Notre Dame for a while,
Yeah.
now has a southern accent on the floor of the
Love it.
basketball arena talking to the LSU students. And it went around Twitter. It was a big joke, and someone sent it to us. And I was asking about his accent, and it got me thinking
Yes.
about accents in business and investing. I read some research effectively because I was joking back and forth on text about this, and it got me doing research that suggested that when you hear a non-native accent out of a CEO, it actually makes investors think that CEO is more hardworking. So here's the open question, I think, that's implied from the message, the text message that we got, which is, should a CEO or should a leader, whether it's a coach or CEO, whatever, adopt the accent of where they're from or lean deeply into a potential fake foreign accent in order to make people think that they're more hardworking?
Are we talking the business value or comedy value or both?
I want to do both. I want to do business value first, but a comedy value I think is as you could take as rote. Like if I were to constantly have a Transylvanian accent for everybody that we worked with, I feel like that would be fantastic.
That's the winner in the financial news is a Transylvanian accent.
I don't know if it's Transylvanian.
Okay. I'll start off. I'll say absolutely. It just makes sense to me. I'm sorry, but first of all, I'd be afraid to death to start a job at LSU. So I would immediately, especially during Hanukkah, I would immediately adopt a Southern accent. I would do everything I can. I'd shave off this rabbinical
grow a
beard. I'd do
mullet.
whatever I can to like fit in immediately because I
don't
know
if they
those
have
people. I know they hate Massachusetts. I
Can
know
you
they hate
buzz
Elizabeth
Ari for
Warren.
mullet comments?
I know they hate me. So yeah, and the business value, Matt, I'm with you. Like we've been doing this for years, right? I mean, Hugh Grant is dopey white guy shows up, but he's got this beautiful, charming
Actually,
accent, and we all fall in love with him. This is just
what
the way
I
the world
immediately
works.
thought of, was Parag Agrawal, who's succeeding Jack Dorsey as
Yes.
CEO. He does
Yes.
not have an Indian accent. He basically he's been living here for a million years. Like it's not like he has a deep, thick Indian accent or
Despite being
anything.
only 38.
But I thought like Satya Nadella,
Mhm.
Parag Agrawal now, there's like this slew of Indian tech
Yeah.
CEOs as the next
Slew, he means
generation.
three.
Sundar Pichai. Slew might be three, but if they were to lean into their native accents, would it actually benefit them from an investor standpoint? If investors have a cognitive bias for a certain type or set of accents that make them think this is a hardworking, straight shooting
I'm with you.
CEO. In fact, the research suggested that when people with non-native accents gave bad news, investors were more likely to believe them that they were trying hard to fix the problem than if they were just white people saying it.
No, I'm
There's
with
a
you.
weird reverse cognitive
Yeah.
bias. Brian
believe
Kelly maybe screwing himself royally by trying to act like a local when he should lean deep into his Worcester accent, and maybe they'll believe him.
Yeah.
Indian
I see what you're
people
saying.
that have a British accent, that's my favorite accent.
Oh, here we go. That was very
Wow.
revealing.
Okay,
So
we're cross-functional accenting.
I
Yeah.
hope Ari's husband's not listening to this show. So what you're suggesting, Matt, is that Brian Kelly would have more gravitas if he kept.
That's
the
exactly
Massachusetts
what
accent.
I'm suggesting. I'm
Interesting.
suggesting
But-
he's actually hurting himself because if he starts
Right.
losing, they're going to think he's one of them and he should be winning. But if he's losing
Okay.
and he's got a non-native accent and he's like from Worcester and he's like, "Hey guys, what the fuck are we doing here?" Like something
Yeah.
like really deep, they'd be like, "You know what? He's a hardworking blue collar guy just trying to get it done."
Yes,
Well, you're assuming that these people are going to think like investors.
These people, how dare you?
Sorry.
Yeah, donors.
So hang on, I
Yeah.
have an example.
The donors.
So are you suggesting that he Ted Lassos? Do we understand the plot of Ted Lasso?
I do,
What-
and
tell-
a little
Tell
bit.
us how that applies here. those
So
who
Ted
haven't seen it.
Lasso comes to the UK.
Yeah.
He was a former football coach, and he has a very strong Southern accent. And he starts to coach soccer, a professional soccer team for the first time. And he's horrible at it initially, and he loses and loses and loses. And of course, the UK people are like, he's an outsider, he'll never get it,
No
blah, blah,
spoilers.
blah. And then they start to do kind of well, and they still don't, they're like happy that he's winning, but they still don't really accept him. Are we looking for success or acceptance here? Like, what's the barometer?
Interesting.
Well, it's the perception. I think what Matt's talking about is the perception of something, which is really what a CEO. I mean, it's one of their main job titles is to constantly be pretending, right? I mean, we go over these filings all the time. The companies never really say what's going on, so it's part of the mania of this field. So it's interesting,
Do
Matt.
you
I don't know.
think
I'm
he
have to think about that.
practiced like the night before?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so. A big wobbly mirror in the Hilton Garden Inn. Yes, absolutely.
Well, the other comp is arguably Elizabeth Holmes
Oh.
with the Steve Jobs
Deeper
outfits.
voice.
and the deeper
And the
voice.
Deep
Yeah,
voice
right.
and the Steve Jobs accent. And people
Mhm.
believed her. I think so. First of all, shout out for the text. This is a brilliant.
This is
This is a
great.
brilliant topic
This
of
is great.
conversation, in a bizarre governance kind of way. I
it's
do
not,
think
'cause
there's
we-
precedent here.
We talked about Bill Belichick in the same context. I mean, I think that I think we have to start seeing more leaders as like sort of like the CEOs of their little enterprises. I think the way we cover CEOs, I think that there is overlap in society. It's not just public corporations. So I think it works for our context. Anyway, keep going, Matt.
That's it. That was the text.
All right.
I'm curious, Damien. You didn't weigh in. Are you in on it? Should Brian
was in-
Kelly?
I was in on him adopting the Southern accent, but what you're not thinking about is the culture war here. Because I think there's something very different about an Indian accent at a Silicon Valley company to me is very different than a Massachusetts accent in the deep South. So that confuses me a bit more. But maybe because I have my own biases about going to coach at LSU. But so I'm intrigued by what
that
you're
where
saying.
you
I'm
wanna
intrigued by
coach?
the thought of him keeping. See, I don't know. I keep thinking of Bill Belichick going down there, and he would
When
absolutely
he
not
goes back to
adopt some
Massachusetts,
phony accent.
how is he going to sound?
When he
This
goes
is
back,
like
he'll adopt. He'll go back to Massachusetts. He's obviously a
Ilaria
poser.
Baldwin.
No, he's like Leo DiCaprio in The Departed. He's
Oh my
a double
God.
talker. He's got he's
Code switching.
Who I loved in that movie, by the way. All right,
Great
thank
movie.
you, listeners. That was voicemail 872 float 72. Who won the week? And you can include that the voicemailer there. But who won? Who wants to go first here? Who won the week? Anyone? Anyone want to go first?
I think Ari should go first because she actually thought about it.
I
All right.
did, and I didn't include this in my goodliest. But
Who won
I
the
think
week? All right.
I'm gonna say this just to irritate everybody. Mackenzie Scott.
No, you
Billionaire.
immediately buy our Emma's vote with Mackenzie Scott.
Yeah.
Love
I
her.
mean, I'm easily convinced of stuff.
So
Okay.
she
That's
has
not, is that true?
donated.
No.
She's donated $2.7 billion this year.
Okay.
For
Put it
a
in the
total
context. Do we know how much her
of
net? What's her net worth?
$8.6 billion, like since her divorce.
Sorry, her full
And-
net worth, Damon, I think is around 30.
Okay.
So 8.6 billion. That's not peanuts. Anyway, I think
No,
she won
Especially
the
for
week.
true,
one
it's
year
not.
compared to everyone else. Jeff Bezos has spent about that much on Blue Origin out of his own pocket, I think, in the same amount of time.
So it was
Okay.
2.7 this year, 8.6 since her divorce. So Mackenzie 2.0, new and improved. Mackenzie, love her.
Okay.
I think she won the week.
And why this week? Why is this news this week?
I don't know.
Okay.
Because it's
All
the
right.
end of the year.
You know what?
It's
There's no
Mackenzie
argument in this
Raps.
column. You get to say who won the week. All right, that's great.
Right.
Mackenzie
Sorry,
Scott.
60.
Sure.
She's worth about 60.
All right.
Still not peanuts.
Sticks.
Emma,
I gotta
it
say
was
honestly,
probably
like
32 months ago, and she just
That's
got that
probably
much
true.
richer.
I'm happy supporting Mackenzie Scott, sure, but when you're peeling off $8 billion out of a fortune of $60 billion, it does start to smell a little Aaron Rodgers there. But I'm gonna again, we don't argue who won the
It's
week, so I'm
billion
with
a
you, Ari.
B, Damien.
I know she's still got 52 billion left over. So
Dude, it's not her
yeah,
fault that
I'm not
every
gonna
day she
worship
gets
at her
richer and
altar,
richer.
Ari. I'm not gonna worship at her altar. But I'm with you. Anyone want to go next? Who won the week?
Matt
Want me to
does.
Want me to do it?
Well, I mean, I had an idea of who won the week this week.
Is it Ari?
In, in Jack Dorsey. How many times
Yeah.
does the CEO step down and change the name of the other company that they're moving
Matt,
to?
you read my mind.
simultaneously?
That's my that was going to be exactly my choice. That was in our world. This is like hitting the trifecta, right? This is the double at
The-
Altamont.
the
It's right.
Dufecta.
That's the third thing.
This is something.
Trifecta.
I don't
Did
know
he
what it's
shave?
called, but it's incredible. Not only
It's-
like we didn't give this guy enough credit, by the way. He was CEO at 2 S&P 500 companies. I mean, this is
What's his
unheard
net
of. This
worth,
guy is a
Damien?
legend. A
What's
legend.
his net worth, and why does he
He's a
have
legend
that much money?
in our
what a
world.
hoarder!
He simultaneously, the trifecta here is he left.
Yeah.
He's stepping down. He's not just stepping down. He immediately stepped down as CEO, handed
Yeah.
off the CEO reins, and announced he's stepping off the board entirely.
Yeah, did a
at
corporate
the
governance
end of his
mic
term.
drop.
Yeah, that was basically a corporate
Beautiful.
governance mic drop, which I'm sure was coordinated with Elliott and Silver Lake and Scott Galloway.
Oh, don't ruin
but
it by
who
saying
cares?
that.
He steps away from being CEO. He doubles down in his role as CEO of the other
hates
S&P
this.
500 company that he's the CEO of. And he pivots that company in the same week with a name change and doubles down
amazing.
on his crypto. I mean, it's hard not
Amazing.
to, but
Yeah.
but
Oh.
the listener Brian Kelly question is stuck in
Okay.
my brain as like the hysterical move of the week
the
as
listener
well.
wins.
So I'm gonna go with Jack Dorsey because that's the real one, but
Okay.
with a 1B to my 1A of the listener.
Okay. Well, I
pointing
don't
out
have to
Brian
go,
Kelly.
Emma, because Matt stole my thunder. I think again, like in this nerdy universe that we're creating here, you're never gonna have a week like that for Jack. I'm in awe of Jack for this week. Definitely won the week in my head.
Mm.
Emma.
I'm gonna go with Charlie Munger.
Oh God.
And
Windowless Charlie Munger. I like it.
yeah,
Do say
Oh,
why.
I
and
forgot about the windowless.
oof, I did not. My reason is that Charlie Munger literally got quoted. He got a headline for just saying that the stock market is even crazier than the dot-com burst. And
Yeah.
how old is Charlie Munger? He's like literally in his mid to late 90s, right?
427. Yes.
Yeah. So you know how old people, one of the reasons that old people are
Careful.
sad and lonely is because like
Careful.
people kind of stop registering them as people and no one pays attention to them. Like it's a thing. Like it's a thing. When you reach a certain age, people below you kind of stop registering you as a
In
presence.
America, unfortunately, you're right.
Right, because we have absolutely like they sort of become like
We're assholes.
babies
Yes.
and they don't really have a conscious whatever. And so Charlie Munger has proven that money really can buy anything, which in this case is attention, which is why he
Shocking
has won the
choice.
week.
I love it, Emma. Shocking. I think you won the week for shockingly choosing Charlie Munger for something that you're happy about.
I know. Happy about Charlie Munger. That's the real news of the week.
Yeah.
You can
does-
buy attention. It's even at
does
the age
anybody-
of 90, whatever. It's perfect.
Does any you're buzzed so many times for making fun of old people, by the way. Does anybody
I'm
have
not.
any
It's a sad
predictions
phenomenon.
before we get out of here? Predictions. I have a prediction. I'm going to start the predictions.
Start the
Okay.
predictions.
I'm going to say by early 2022, we not only as a company but as a society actually learn the name of the CEO behind the most influential and important social media company going, which is TikTok, which is way more important than anything that we talk about. And I don't think any of us know who the fuck runs that company. I think by early 2022, we're all going to know. That's my prediction. The coffee really kicked in like the last part of the
Apparently.
show.
You know, it's like Googleable, right?
But it's incredible that like I feel like I'm pretty good at this game. Like this is kind of our business, and they're just so
I would just-
good at hiding everything. I don't know
Can
what's
we
going on
start
over
with the
there.
name of the parent company? Can we get a user of TikTok at
ByteDance.
random to know the name of the parent company?
No, they wouldn't
I
even
don't
know
want
that.
you to know it. I want a random TikTok user to
I know it's
it.
incredible.
It will
but
upset
we
you
see-
to know that the CEO of TikTok is
No,
under
no.
the age of 40.
But
That
Matt,
doesn't
but
upset
to our
me. That's
point,
so
we're
obvious.
praising places like Twitter and Alphabet for hiding behind like the Indian accent, but they hide behind everything. Like we don't know what the hell's going
So
on.
you
over
want to
Special
there.
know who the
purpose
CEO of
vehicles,
ByteDance is?
I want
That's what
the,
you
I
wanna
want this. No, this my prediction is
There's
that as a
two CEOs.
society we learn these names by early 22. That's my
They
prediction.
become common knowledge. I see. I understand.
Anybody else?
I have one.
Go
I
ahead.
think another company is going to change their name.
All right, you gotta do
And
better
I
than that.
think,
Give it to me.
I think it'll be
Yes.
like either the Virgin Group or Virgin Galactic. Why is it still
Ooh.
called?
Really? That is a bold prediction because that guy's ego is so bizarrely tied to that name, Virgin. I
I
have no
know,
idea
it's
why.
weird.
So, what do you think the name? Maybe it'll be a spacey kind of
A
change.
spacey
Like, what do you think?
prism.
Space
Um,
Prism?
Space
Space-
person.
Is that your prediction?
It sounds like space prison.
I would
Oh,
go with
man.
Space Prism. Yes.
So Virgin changes name to Space Prison. Anybody else?
I would double down on that and just say that Peloton changes its name to Strappy Bra in order to troll Lululemon.
Actually, that might be a genius move.
I have a prediction, and I think Emma has a short one too. Emma, do
Mhm.
you have one too? Emma, why don't you,
You go
first?
first. No, you.
Oh, we're
I've
so
got I
egalitarian.
got two mini ones. Number one, I already
Two
did this on the
mini
show
ones.
yesterday.
Yeah.
By June of 2022, Bob Iger is chair emeritus of Disney. That
Okay.
is
Wow.
Mm.
Sure.
prediction number one.
Not
Prediction
not
number
your
two.
sexiest prediction.
Prediction number two. In the spirit of co-CEO
Sexiness.
asshole of the week,
Yeah.
Exxon announces that Greg Goff will be
Yes.
co-CEO of
Ooh.
Exxon starting in mid 22.
Whoa.
That is my
Okay.
second prediction of the week, doubling down on my co-CEO
A
asshole.
couple
of
of
the week.
good nerdy governance predictions. Emma, do you have anything here?
I do. Here's my prediction.
Yeah.
My prediction is going off of my Salesforce conspiracy theory,
Sure.
which is I think that
It's
so
a slow
they're
reveal.
I'm
I
so
like it.
sorry. I'm trying to you're
I'm
going to
so
see why this is
intrigued.
tough for me to get my brain around. Give me a second.
Yeah.
So, there as we have discussed, Salesforce now has two CEOs, Brett Taylor and Mark
Co-CEOs.
Benioff. They had two CEOs, but a different second CEO
Co-CEOs.
8 months ago, and that was Mark Benioff and Keith Block. And my prediction
Great
is
name.
that Keith Block left to go work
Oh.
with Jack Dorsey at Block. That is my conspiracy
Okay,
theory.
that's
Ooh.
weird, but I like it. I don't
Thank
know what's going
you.
on. Okay, so Keith Block. Oh, that's it. That's all I got,
I
Matt.
just think it's a little sketchy.
That's the Friday show, December 3rd, 2021.
That was Damian Rollis and Emma Lurking and Ari the Data Queen in some boxy order if you're watching this live stream. We live stream this every single day around 1 o'clock, somewhere between 12:30 and like 1:30. We're live streaming 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day of news. And then on Friday, we have this long show where we wrap up the news. You can also get this as a podcast on Apple or Spotify or Overcast or like Google Play or Amazon potty thing, whatever you get a podcast, it's out in all of the places. You can also call us 872-FLOAT-72, text us 872-FLOAT-72, ask your questions 872-FLOAT-72, or send us an email. Otherwise, we'll be back at you next week with more pointless ESG related things. Thank you.
Oh.